The training grounds had sections based on the activity. There were areas for sports and military-based activities. Sally's club was located inside of the portion of the training ground which was inside of a giant cube structure. Inside the structure housed different dimensions depending on their training. Sometimes there was a giant city, ruins, jungle, or desert inside. Sally enjoyed when they trained inside of the city because it reminded her of when she was sneaking around looking for things to steal. The cool thing was that their instructor could change the weather and time of day. Entering the structure, Sally, Kim, and Kate saw that it was set to the city mode. Their instructor was sitting on top of one of the buildings, waiting for all the club members to arrive. Her instructor's eyebrows went up when she saw that Sally had arrived early to morning training. "What do we owe this pleasure for the princess to come so early?" she asked, shocked. Sally was somewhat famous for sleeping in and being difficult to wake up on time. This is why everyone gave her the nickname Princess, cause Sally seemed to show up when she felt like it. "Sometimes even I can show up early, Instructor May," Sally innocently answered. Instructor May snorted at her response and jumped down from the top of the building. "I guess I can't complain if you're going to do what is asked of you, though I hope that this is a sign of you coming on time more often," she sighed in frustration. "Will we be doing urban training today, Instructor?" Kate asked. "Can't you see that for yourself? This morning we'll be doing night infiltration. When all of your club members have arrived, I'll divide you up into 2 teams. One team will be the home team and try to protect the sensitive documents, while the away team will try and gain the information on those documents," Instructor May said, while Kate groaned. Kate was weak in urban infiltration and preferred training in the jungle due to her affinity for nature magic. "Stop your groaning, Kate. You need to get used to all environments, not just the ones that you're strong in," the instructor said. Kate's tail drooped down as Kim patted her on the back to cheer her up. When everyone was inside of the structure, Instructor May said, "As you can see, we'll be performing a night infiltration exercise. I'll form 2 teams of 10, with one group tasked with protecting the information and the other group tasked with gaining the information. To keep things fair, if 3 members of the infiltration team are discovered, then the other team wins. The time limit is 1 hour, so if the defending team can last that long or spot 3 members of the opposing team, then they win. For those of you not on the team, you'll be watching on the screens, so pay attention. If I see any of you making similar mistakes, then you will end up running around the training grounds until I say so." Sally watched a few of the underclassmates wince from bad memories of running around until it was night. Sally waited until the opposing team was in position, deep inside of the city. The location was never the same, so Sally's team would need to sweep the city and find where they are located quickly. "Okay, Sally, Mindy, Tiffany, and Sarah, the 4 of you are going to be in charge of finding where the other team is hiding the documents. Kate and I will wait here, while the rest of you go with each of them and make sure that they aren't spotted. Once one of you discovers the location, you'll let the rest of us know so we can head over to you," Ashley instructed. Being the more experienced member, Ashley was often the one to lead the team she was assigned to. There was a large fireball that flew through the air, signaling that the timer was starting. Sally and Kim rushed down the main path where they entered, along with the other 3 pairs. Signaling to the others, Sally took the first street that diverged from the main street. One of the first things you learned during classes was the use of hand signals to prevent enemies from learning your position. Even though the city was bathed in darkness, there was a light that simulated the moon. Sometimes they would have to go through the city in near total darkness to simulate conditions where the sky was overcast. This time, they were lucky to get some light. Speeding down the street, Sally could see doors and windows blur as she passed by them. There were occasional wagons and other obstructions laid out, so the two of them had to be mindful of such things. As she was dodging obstacles, Sally was using her magic to sense for any shadows that belonged to a person. Her ability allowed her to sense the shape of shadows, and she learned very early that shadows belonging to people felt different. Even a beast person's shadow seemed different compared to animals. This allowed her to locate her opponents better whenever she was traveling in between shadows. Using such methods took up a lot of mana, so she had to be careful of how often she used her ability. Going down different streets, Sally started to feel someone nearby. Raising her hand to signal Kim to hide, she tried to get a better sense of where this person was located. Kneeling up against one of the walls, Sally closed her eyes and concentrated on the nearby shadows. In her mind, she could see an image of her surroundings and saw that a person was hiding in a building 100 feet away. Sally tapped on Kim's shoulders and formed a circle with her index finger and thumb, placing it so that she could look through it to indicate that she can see her opponent, and raised one finger to indicate how many there were. Kim nodded her head in acknowledgement, then made a vertical chopping motion followed by 2 diagonal chopping motions to let Sally know to proceed and eliminate the target. Feeling the shadow wrap around her body, she merged with the darkness and made herself move towards where she sensed the person. Slowly, Sally stuck her head out of the ceiling directly above the person's shadow. She remembered being yelled at by the instructor for appearing out of the person's shadow, because this usually alerted the person who was watching out for such a tactic. Looking down, Sally saw that it was one of the inexperienced underclassmates. The individual was looking out of the window while trying to keep themselves hidden, but failed to remember about people like Sally who could use shadow magic. Dipping back into the shadow, she emerged from her target's shadow and slipped out a dagger, and placed the blade on the person's throat. After the person had felt the blade on her neck, she hung her head down to indicate that she knew she was killed. Those who were killed were forbidden from talking, so that if there were more than one person, then the dead couldn't alert the others. Making a sound after you died led to an automatic forfeit and was strictly enforced. Sally tapped on the person's back to cheer her up before jumping out of the window and landing on the street. Kim, who was monitoring the situation, saw that Sally was finished and rushed over to where she was standing. Spreading her hand out and then quickly clenching her hand into a fist while moving her elbow towards her body, Sally let Kim know that it was a success. Moving further, Sally continued to sense more people from the opposing team. Each time, depending on how many there were, Sally and Kim would dispose of the guards. So far, they had eliminated 5 members, so they were confident that they were getting closer to where the information was located. Knowing that they were probably getting close, they started to slow their pace down to avoid being detected. In front of them, there was an innocent-looking building that wouldn't look like it would be advantageous for the other team to place the information. What made her suspicious was that there were 3 people located inside. Hiding behind a cart, Sally indicated there were 3 people, but the placement was odd. Trusting in Sally's instinct, Kim moved away to request for aid and that they may be near where the information was located. With the timer, they couldn't be too cautious or they'd run out of time. Sally was worried about the 3 opponents who had placed themselves to spot anyone using shadows. Though her ability was convenient, there were small openings where she was vulnerable. This was when she was sticking her head out before her eyes could assess the situation. If an opponent was watching out for someone with her ability, they could throw a dagger and kill her. After several minutes had passed, she could feel 3 people heading towards her. This was likely to be Ashley, Kate, and another member. Moments passed before Sally could see Ashley, Kate, and Maya, who went with Tiffany. It was likely that Tiffany and Maya hadn't run into anyone, but just to be safe, Tiffany stayed behind to continue mapping the city.